Welcome back, it's Smash Boss here, and this is the first part of my 900 subscribers special. There will be 2 parts in total because what I've planned will take a little more than 1 video to explain all. And it's actually something I wanted to do a long time ago already, but I just never had enough time for it. And what that is, it's basically the always missing explanation for my latest 2 troll levels for Carl Sagan 42. I already did an explanation video for the first one, Molecular Biology Lab, but I never did that for the other 2 troll levels that he also played. So that's the project in total, and what I also want to include in this video is the latest mini Kaiser Monday level, because there were a lot of questions about how everything works in this level. So in the first part there will be this level and the gets better after the 3rd checkpoint troll level that I made. And in the next part that I will make tomorrow, there will be the twice is not nice explanation. Let's get started with the mini Kaiser Monday level, because this will not take long, since basically all the setups use the same trick in this level. So when you start the level, it says run, and you start to run, and then suddenly launchers appear when you need them, because, well, there's an arrow right here. And right now this arrow just points nowhere, but as soon as you throw the shell against it, there is suddenly a launcher that allows the shell to bounce back. And basically it uses a new version of the same trick that I already used in the Molecular Biology troll level. And this is the glitch that allows you to put enemies behind launchers. So the original trick was to have a launcher, then put an enemy somewhere behind the launcher by using a track, and then removing the track, and the result is that the enemy will stay behind the launcher, and as soon as the setup loads in, the launcher is teleported all the way up on top of the enemy that was inside. So what I figured out now is the launcher doesn't really care if it's teleported through the ground. So even if there's a solid block that would normally stop the launcher from going upwards, it still teleports through. And then as soon as the lower enemy that was inside the cannon gets killed, the cannon will be teleported straight back down, at least if there was something blocking it. So if there's nothing, then of course the cannon can just fall on top of the cloud where the piranha plant was before. But if there's ground that blocks the cannon, it first doesn't care, but as soon as the enemy below it is killed, it will teleport back down in its original position. And that's basically the whole thing. All I did for the rest of the level was try to find different timings when the piranha plant will get killed. So for the first one it already says run, because if I walk, then the cannon will spawn too early, like right now. But I timed it in a way that the piranha plant will get killed exactly at the right time if you just run in the first part. Then for the second part I timed it so that the cannon appears when you need it to shell jump off of this wall right here. Then this one is pretty simple. It's just from right here you cannot trigger the setup that kills the piranha plant, and you think the top path is blocked by the cannon, but if you jump down there, the cannon teleports down and stops you from going this way. That's why you need to go the path that looks like it would lead to death, but in fact, since the cannon is teleported down, it will then let you through. Then there's another cannon that teleports just at the right time, right there. And once you did this, then you can enter this door. And then there's once again the same setup with the boot. If you jump right here, the cannon will appear and stop you. So that's why you have to jump around and go under, even if there's seemingly no reason at first glance. And finally, enemies will also get killed once the level ends, but not launchers. That's why the piranha plant on top that is behind this launcher gets killed as soon as Mario triggers the exit, and then the cannon falls and blocks his way. And that's the whole level. Every trick uses this new mechanic that makes the launcher reappear in its original position. So then let's move on to the gets better after the third checkpoint level. So the first part of this level is just a complete troll, because all you really have to do is to kill the piranha plant and go inside this pipe to continue. However, at first you will think you have to use the power block in order to kill the muncher. And as soon as you do that, a second muncher appears and goes in the position of the first one. This works because of a setup with stack flipping. I already made a video about this blue platform glitch a while ago, and that it can do some pretty weird stuff. So in this case, what it does is it connects this muncher through the launcher with the muncher on top that is on top of the blue platform also. It also depends on the ground right here, so it's important that at least in these two spaces there's no solid ground below the setup, but just the semi-solid. So what it does is, when I load it from right here, it does nothing, but when it's loaded from off screen, the top muncher won't be there, as you can see, and instead, for whatever reason, it decides to float inside the pipe right here. And as soon as you throw the POW, it will reappear in its original position right here and then fall down. So if you want to avoid this, you can use the POW and throw it while running into the muncher, and by that you can then go under the second muncher before it falls on top of your head. But then there's the next troll. You want to go in this pipe, but it seems like the ground right there is not solid. And that's because actually there's no ground at all. This only works in the new Super Mario Bros. U cave style. Well, technically it would work in any style, but visually it's easier to spot in the other game styles, because the semi-solids just don't look that good for this glitch. Because basically all that's happening right here is that I have a semi-solid from the ceiling, another one, and then I just make this semi-solid not completely as long as the other one. And this works so good because basically the top of the semi-solid looks a little bit the same like the bottom of the semi-solid does. So if you don't look closely, you might just think it's the same, but in fact this is ground and this is no ground. So that's how this trick works, and that's basically all for the first part. So then you go in the pipe, and right here there's a launcher that shoots bob arms to you. You can see the ice block down there, so the next thing you want to do is to break the ice block, but then also go on top of the launcher. So if you grab a bomb right here, and throw it in this pit, and then go on top of the launcher. The launcher will start moving, and here it stops before the red coin. So the trick is, you think you go down here and then, oh, there's a red coin, let's collect it. And then it will just stop here and go straight down into the lava. And that's because of this launcher right here. As soon as this one loads in, it starts sinking into the lava. So once you actually see this place, it will already be out of sight under the lava, but it will still be there. And once the launcher right here collides with this one, it stops all its momentum, so it just goes straight down. And also all the red coins in this level are just a troll, you don't actually need to collect them. So then, right here in this next section, there's basically just a timed wiggler that falls on your head at some point, and another troll in this block right here. So all you have to do is to collect the key and go back, and then go in this key door. And then the launcher that seems to be under Mario's feet just goes to this area right here immediately and leaves this muncher under Mario's feet. So what actually happens is, there's an invisible block with the launcher behind it, and once this block is triggered, it pushes the launcher one block to the left, and it's triggered by this shell and the sideways spring immediately when you come out of the door. So once you come out of this door the second time, you will go right here, but then there's a spring that shoots out of the cannon and bounces you into the spikes. And that's because the spring that is right here also gets crushed by the cannon, but instead of despawning or something, it decides to go all the way up on top of the cannon in its next free position where it can go. So what you have to do is to first go here and then quickly, before the spring is right there, then quickly go back in the other direction on top of this platform. You also get a key from the invisible block, and I had to put these vines here just to make sure you don't take the spring with you. And after this door, there you have checkpoint 1. And as I said, the red coins are a troll, so now you will think I can't go through here as Big Mario, so this must be the path for Big Mario, but it's actually just a troll. So if you want to upload this level, you have to do it without dying. That means that you also have to go past this section somehow. But since when you get the first checkpoint, you can go back through this door because it's opened. And then you can just take damage from this spike and then continue as small Mario. So then you're right here, and in this door, the trick is that you grab a POW with wings immediately after it comes out of the cannon. And actually what I intended for this trick is that you take the P-switch instead of the POW block through the door, because if you take a POW block like this, which is a winged POW block that was grabbed immediately after it came out of a cannon, you can actually not bring a POW block like this through the door, because for some reason it's somehow glitched, and if you try to take it through the door, you will just end up without the POW block on the other side. So Carl Sagan in his video basically cheesed this setup by moving Mario left and right to somehow grab the POW a little bit later. But what I intended, as I said, is that you just don't take the POW through the door, but the P-switch instead, because there's a setup off screen that you cannot see behind this muncher that will automatically trigger a POW if a P-switch is activated. it's this one right here. Basically, the sideways spring hits the shell, and as long as the P-switch is not activated, nothing will happen. But once it's activated, the power block will fall through and get destroyed by the shell, which will then also destroy this muncher. There's another troll. So when you come here, you may think you have to build your way up with these invisible blocks, but on the last row, instead of making a path that lets you get the coin, there's actually just another invisible block with a fish or something in it. So there's basically also no way to get this red coin. So then, once the P-switch runs out, you come down here. And this troll didn't really get Carl Sagan, but my intention for this troll was that it's basically a blind jump, so you cannot see where you have to go. The only thing that you can see is this, well, basically this thing right here, this background object, and since you can only place it on solid ground, I thought that maybe the player would think, I don't know if there's ground anywhere, but there must be ground below this background object, and this is the only place where you can actually not jump. The rest is all safe. Then you'll need another P-switch and you'll get it right here. You cannot jump over this, so the only way is to go down here. And I already used this setup in the subworld, but without a troll, just to make the player think that there won't be a troll this time too. But in fact, you can hide something on a track behind these burners right here, or behind these fire bars. It also would work with burners, but it works better with fire bars. So actually there's just a track with a note block behind them. You can even see it if you look closely. And well, this part is a little bit janky, but basically all you have to do is to try to duck jump somewhere through here, and then most of the time you should get it. Now once you have this P-switch, it looks like a P-switch run starts, and that's basically true. You have to go. Then there's a fish that falls and it should troll you. So once the fish falls, the player should think there's a fish falling, and then he should basically panic and do something like stopping or falling in the pit. But in fact, the fish cannot even hit you, since the fish is on a track and there are tracks on these spikes too, so the fish will not fall past this spot, but instead it will go on the track and follow another path. That's why you can just simply run further and you don't even have to stop. And then the next part uses a troll that I also explained in one of my previous videos, because the P-switch timer is actually not enough to get this key right here. And all it uses is something that I previously explained in a video as the delayed key troll. Basically, you already have a key in this position. You just don't know it, because as soon as the P-switch ends, there's another setup right here. That's pretty simple. Once the P-switch starts, this block transforms into a coin, which will make the muncher fall on top of this fire bar. And since fire bars count as global ground, it will not be unloaded once it's on top of the fire bar. But when the P-switch timer ends, the coin will then become a solid block again, which will kill the muncher and give you the key. The only problem is the key spawns here and you are all the way over here, so it will take the key a few seconds to get over to Mario's position. That's why you think you don't have a key, but actually you can use the key as soon as the P-switch timer ends. So then you can use the key that you have in order to go through here. In this area there's another block with a random troll, so basically this stuff doesn't even matter. And once you're right here, you may think I should have brought the shell with me. So if you take the shell, I can just make ground right here. So if I take the shell, I can theoretically throw the shell against the block and then I can go through. But the block is a solid block, so the shell doesn't really help you. What you have to do is you have to stand all the way next to the block, which will then spawn an off-screen bomb that will explode and destroy this block. And once you're right here, then you've reached the second checkpoint. So the next troll is to make you think by putting these blocks right there that you have to go through here as Big Mario, which is basically impossible. I've tried it a lot of times and I think I've managed to do it once, but it's definitely not what you want to do. All you need to do is to take damage and go through here as Small Mario, and in this block there will be another bomb that will also help you out this time. The next troll is the troll to follow the coins. So if you follow the coins, you jump, wall jump, and the idea is basically this is a coin, this is also a coin, but then there's a spike. So you can easily avoid this by just not following the coins. Then this next troll is basically just one troll over this entire area. So all that this whole area does is it gives you a lot of paths to choose from. And then there's this door right here. And it seems like you're now seeing the bottom of the setup that you just saw, and you see that basically every path leads into a pit or into spikes or something, but the path between the cloud and the muncher leads to a pipe. So what you would normally do is basically just go between muncher and cloud because you think the pipe is there. But in fact there are two layers of items and they are moved by one block. So on the top layer each item is one gap to the left or to the right, and in the bottom layer it's more on the left side. So if you are down here and you think it's cloud and muncher, it's actually sideways spring and cloud. And once you're in this pipe, you're Small Mario and there's a mushroom right here, so you can break this block and then YOLO jump down there somewhere. Or you might think you solved the puzzle because you saw that you can actually go on top of this way. But this whole path is also just a troll. In fact, you have to go this way. So if you think that you found this secret path, then you basically just fall for the troll. And the only way out is basically to die in this room because there's nothing that you can do. And this right here is then the Lao box. So that whole room is just a troll. But if you don't fall for the troll and you use the mushroom to break through this block, then the next part is this YOLO jump, as I already said. And it's a pretty far jump, so you have to basically get the maximum amount of momentum that you can get. And once you're here, this is basically the best troll in the entire level, at least in my opinion, because that's basically a back to the first checkpoint trap that I guess no one would expect at the first moment, because it seems like all you have to do is to jump on the note block to jump up there, but as soon as you touch the note block you're teleported through the note block and hit the checkpoint once again. This is because of another stack flipping setup right here. There's also once again something on a blue platform, and then it's connected to a cannon that cannot spawn itself, but the item that is connected on the bottom can spawn. And once again, if I load it from here, it will do nothing, but since you already have to jump all the way over here, you load it in from off screen, and now as you can see, you don't see anything from down here, but actually the muncher is floating right there, and as soon as this note block is triggered for whatever reason, the muncher decides to teleport straight down here, but since Mario is standing in his way, it just teleports Mario with him. And so normally, since you're big Mario right here, you can actually avoid the note block by taking damage and jumping up like this. Then you get a propeller, and the entire area above you is now the area with the lava box. So if you fly with your propeller anywhere up here, you'll end up in this area once again. I also made one right here where it says, well, go up here, and if you go up here you land directly in the lava box once again. So what you actually want to do is go here, and then that's basically already the end of the level, since once you go through this pipe you end up in the final section. And there's actually one thing that only works if the player dies anywhere in between the first checkpoint and this pipe, which is normally the case in a troll level if you play it blind. So you already used up this key right here in a normal run because you go through this door. But as I said, there's basically no chance that a blind player doesn't die from right here until he's right here. So once he's right here, he will basically get this key once again, since he at least died once, which makes this key available again. And that means that if you go through this pipe, you then also have this key, which makes you think that the final step will be to go through this key door, and the troll is to go too close to the swamp, because then it will destroy the clouds, which will make it impossible to go through a key door. However, that is exactly the troll, because if you go through the door just ends all the way back at the beginning. And the real solution is to let the swamp destroy the clouds, because under the clouds there's actually the goal. And then there's one final thing that you cannot even find while playing the level. It's basically an editor only troll, because Cow always looks at these levels in the editors, at least most of the time. So I thought, when he looks at this level in the editor, he will think, what is this area and how do you get there? And it already worked. He fell for this troll. So there's no way to get to this area. There's just a lot of pipes that one pipe leads to the next pipe, and at the end you're already, well, the last pipe leads you back here, and there's no overlaid pipe or something. There's no way to get in this area by playing the level normally. And that's it for this level, and that's it for today, and I hope you enjoyed the video.